So I mentioned the innovation engine, annual research expenditures for fiscal year 2024, over $2 billion. And if you think about that, it's staggering. It's bigger than the GDP of some countries. And all of these opportunities, all of this research should get the opportunity to make a massive impact in society through the commercialization that's happening at our organization. Um, we average 25 to 30 startups every year. So if you think about that, since inception, hundreds of startups have come through our door. Um, Focused on the lion's share of things from medical breakthroughs to amazing things happening in physical sciences, mobility, transportation, you name it. Everything comes through our office, and every single research invention or opportunity, we're going to lean in and try to give it as much of a chance of being a successful commercial enterprise as possible. Next slide, please. So if you look at our fiscal year 25 commercialization activity, we set a record with invention disclosures. We had 673. And for those of you that are not experienced with tech transfer as an industry, that really puts us in some rarefied air. There's only three or four universities nationally that come even close to that number. And this is 2 years in a row that we've been in what's now called the 600 Club. We also launched 31 new startups. So essentially, you can look at the output of our office. It's recognized and ranked in the top five nationally for just about every major metric. So that's, a lot of volume going through the office, but we try to do concierge-based type approach and very hands-on service for every one of our inventors. Next slide. The way we do that is we've structured an organization that can really provide comprehensive and broad-based support from the beginning of the funnel, which is the licensing process, all the way through to commercial launch. So we've got really what we call our three pillars of activity here: alliances, licensing, and ventures. Our alliances folks are focused on industry relations. So they're doing outreach to some of the phenomenal industrial partners. They're working on sponsored research agreements. And most recently, they're working on foundational research opportunities. So that group is out there trying to connect our faculty and our inventors with industry. The licensing folks in our world are really the tip of the spear. They make first contact with the inventors. They figure out the IP strategy. They help kind of plot that original course as to whether this is something that should be licensed to a large company or go out and become a startup. And then finally, the ventures team, which I belong to, should the licensing team realize that a researcher has an idea that's startup ready and everybody's accepted the challenge, then the ventures team will get involved. And with that, we help plot the commercial course. We have a group of mentors and residents that become essentially partners with each of our startups to help them navigate some of the general business questions and issues that come up when you're launching a startup. In addition to the startup services, we also have two pre-seed/seed funds that we can invest directly into university licensed IP from both the University of Michigan, and then ultimately we also have a fund that can invest statewide. So really, if you look at the breadth of what we offer, we can take an idea from the back of a napkin all the way to an exit potentially. Next slide, please. So I've kind of touched on this a little bit with the intro slide, so I won't spend a ton here, but you can see to the left, translational research funding, mentorship, VC investment, connections to talent, which is what the bulk of the overview is going to focus on today. And you can see in the quad chart, we focus on four areas: de-risking the tech, fundraising, finding talent, which is the whole purpose of the Accelerate Blue Foundry, and then ultimately company building. We also lean into project programs like the Michigan Translational Research and Commercialization, or MTRAC program, to help get something from the lab to that first de-risking phase of commercialization. Next slide. Part of the MIR bench I mentioned earlier, you can see this is our current group of mentors and residents. We've essentially bifurcated between physical sciences and life sciences. So we have a bench of mentors that focus only on life science, and we have a bench of mentors that focus on physical science. Most of these folks are very successful entrepreneurs that have had exits and have come back to help, you know, help lean in and help build the startup ecosystem for the University of Michigan and ultimately statewide as well. The mentoring program to me is one of the most important things we do here, because you essentially get to work with a seasoned business professional to help you navigate and hopefully speed up the process and demystify some of the things that might happen to you when you launch a startup. Next slide. So I'm going to turn it back over to John now, because he's going to talk about how we're attempting to bridge the talent gap with our startups through the Accelerate Blue Foundry. Thanks, John.
Great. Thank you, Don. Great. So I'll take a few moments to kind of go into some details on the Accelerate Blue Foundry. The Accelerate Blue Foundry was developed in short, as Don mentioned, to address the founder talent gap. So in many entrepreneurial ecosystems, there's a founder problem, or a limited pool of fundable entrepreneurs, and challenges in identifying skilled individuals ready to lead new ventures. And as Don presented a few slides ago, U of M has a very large pipeline of inventions coming from its research labs. And commercializing these inventions is going to require entrepreneurial-minded individuals to serve as business leads and founders. Some of the other challenges that we're addressing with the Foundry include timing mismatches for tech readiness and founder availability. Also, the need for founder-minded leaders. Commercializing these technologies requires adaptable founders, not just traditional CEOs. And also a shortage of initial resources, such as launch capital and foundational support to help founders build early momentum. So how does the Accelerate Blue Foundry address these challenges? Well, we're hoping to identify promising UM technologies with potential readiness for startup, ask entrepreneurs to apply and serve as business lead, and develop a business case and a pitch for these technologies. We provide education and mentorship to entrepreneurs, and last, we want to be able to make seed funding more available. So through the Foundry, we are making 50 to 200K investments from the Accelerate Blue Fund available for startups that emerge from the Foundry. So, excuse me, sorry. So it starts with putting what our team is putting together is a list of promising technologies that are in need of a business lead. So we have over 600 inventions coming through our office every year. And the curated list of technologies available through the Foundry represent some of the most promising technologies at an appropriate position to spin out. So we have this list of curated technologies. We're encouraging entrepreneurs from all over the country to apply to the Foundry and indicate which of these technologies are something they would like to work with. And I'll go into the application process in a little bit more detail in the next few slides. Innovation Partnerships is going to look at these applications, select entrepreneurs, match them to technologies. Selected entrepreneurs will go through an interview process with us. And at the end of this, be matched with the technology. And then over the next 5 months, entrepreneurs can work on developing a business case and a pitch deck throughout the course of the Foundry. And this, of course, leads to the opportunity to license their technology and secure seed investment from the Accelerate Blue Fund. So here we have kind of an overview of the selected technologies that are being offered through the Foundry for this cohort. Right now we have 39 life science projects and 18 physical science technologies that are offered through a variety of the verticals that are shown here in the pie graph: therapeutics, med devices, software, hardware, etc., and some example technologies that we are going to offer off to the right of this slide. You can find all of the technologies that we are offering as part of the Foundry on the Accelerate Blue Foundry Technologies website. The QR code on this slide will lead you to that site, as is the web link. I'd encourage everybody here who's interested to take a look at all of these technologies. The page on the right of the slide, this is what you'll see, and you can see we have a list of titles and illustrations for each of the technologies that are available through the Foundry. Um, if you click on one of these links, you will see a detailed, more detailed information about each of these technologies. So title, overview, and description, and also information such as a value proposition, technology readiness level or TRL for a technology, intellectual property status, and also market opportunity as well. So applying to the Foundry, if you've looked through their technologies, you're interested in applying to the Foundry for one of them or multiple technologies, you can use the QR link at the right of the slide right here to go right to the Foundry application page. And we'll ask for some contact information, email, name, resume, and a selection of 3 technologies that you're interested in applying to work with. We do ask that these are ranked, so there's a first choice, second choice, and then third choice for technologies that are offered through the Foundry. And we also ask for a personal statement as well. So, why are you interested in joining the Foundry? What do you hope to get out of the Foundry? And why are you interested in the chosen technologies? And so these applications will be reviewed by our team. Selected applicants will be invited to interview with the Accelerate Blue Foundry team, and then move forward with a match to technology. Okay, so here's an overview of the timeline for the Foundry. Right now, we're all the way over to the left. The application collection site is open. We are planning to keep it open until November 5th. After applications are in and interviews are completed, we'll move on to the matching and introduction phase in mid-December. So the second column in the slide we're looking at. Here, we'll make formal introductions between the matched inventor and the entrepreneur, as well as the innovation partnerships team members that have been working closely with the specific technology. Here, teams will begin to share additional technical information and other information about the technology. And then next up, December through May, we will go through business case development and pitch preparation. The next slide will go through a little bit more detail on what December through May looks like. But basically, throughout these 5 months, entrepreneurs will work towards producing a polished pitch deck that will be presented in May when the Foundry activities culminate at pitch day. Here, teams will be able to, or that have been able to finalize a pitch deck, will be given the opportunity to pitch to team members from innovation partnerships, the Accelerate Blue Fund, as well as others from our entrepreneurial ecosystem, including angel investors and members or team members from VC funds. At the end of pitch day, funding will be made available depending on the status of company formation. Okay, so let's look at in more detail on what sort of programming and education is going to be offered through the Foundry. So going from December to May, we're planning to have educational programming sessions about once a month. Shortly after matches are made, we will have a Foundry kickoff session, which will go over some of the things that we're presenting right now, but in a little bit more detail. Also, some additional information on working with innovation partnerships, such as intellectual property agreements, a founder's role in spinning out a company, and additional information um, on working with our mentors and residents and licensing teams. Next up in January, we're planning to hold a session on customer discovery overview, followed in February by a session on team roles and equity investing. Um, March pitch deck development is we'll be working on, or we're planning to offer a session on pitch deck development that'll prepare teams for practice pitch sessions that we were offering in April. And of course, again, all of this will culminate on pitch day in May. Um, as I mentioned before. Additionally, we are planning to host 4 question and answer sessions. Or you can think of these as like office hours or AMA sessions once a month. We'll have several team members from innovation partnerships available, and if any member of the Foundry has questions, wants to meet up, wants to talk about really any aspect of the Foundry and what they're working on, we'll have that opportunity available for them. So I wanted to add a quick slide on entrepreneur expectations. What qualities do we want entrepreneurs to possess as they work through the Accelerate Blue Foundry? And the first is business leadership. We want business leads to do just that, drive commercialization and lead startups, not somebody who is just going to create a pitch deck. Uh, Also, be mindful of roles and equity as it pertains to the team that you are a part of. Roles within a startup need to be agreed upon with the inventor that you're working with equity being earned really only if a startup forms. Um, Also, going a little bit deeper into the notion that you're working as a team is collaboration. We want entrepreneurs to work closely with inventors to develop a viable commercialization strategy. So in finishing up, I only have a few more slides before we can do some Q&A. I do want to mention the post-program support that is offered through our office, that is offered through innovation partnerships beyond the Accelerate Blue Foundry. After the Foundry program is finished and completed, our office's mission doesn't change. We're still driven to advanced U of M technologies through commercialization, and we do this by ongoing mentorship. During the Foundry, you'll work with our mentors and residents and our licensing teams, and this mentorship and assistance doesn't stop after pitch day. We will continue to provide UM network access and provide ongoing connections to U of M resources and partners. Also, we're there to help find alternative pathways to commercialization or other options that are available if a project match made during the Foundry maybe is not yet ready to launch at the conclusion, at pitch day, at the conclusion of the Foundry program. And overall, there's really no cap to the post-program assistance that we offer. We're always here to help as it aligns with our mission of commercializing U of M technologies. Okay, a quick overview on what happened last year. What happened with last year's Foundry cohort? Um, we started with a long list of about 80 invention candidates. We whittled that down to 50. So we offered 50 technologies through the Foundry last year. We uh, offered those, and we had applicants applied to be matched with those. I want to say we had over, well, I'm not actually sure the number. We definitely had over 100 applicants for last year's cohort. Uh, Selected applicants were interviewed, and we ended up getting 25 matches with technologies at the beginning of the Foundry. Through the course of the Foundry, we ended up with 11 pitches on pitch day, and of those 11 pitches, we had 8 companies launched. And one of those 8 companies that launched was General Orbit. This was led by Parker Boundy, who matched with technology from Mark Moldwin and Laura Ojeda at Michigan Engineering, and in commercializing a technology to produce next generation satellite control systems. Parker, as I mentioned, is joining us for the question and answer session coming up shortly, but before we open up for questions, I do want to say a quick congratulations to Parker, who had some great success at the recent Pitch Me event earlier this month. Parker and General Orbit walked away with $375,000 in prize money. So congratulations to you, Parker. It's wonderful to see that, and it's great that General Orbit is succeeding the way it is. So that's wonderful. And with this, I will open this up to anyone with questions. Please, just as a reminder, ask your question either using the Q&A function in Zoom, or raise your hand using the Zoom function, and we'll moderate them as they come in. And if you could, please do still remain muted unless you're called on to ask your question. So thank you very much for your time, and please ask questions if you have them. Hey. So if there are no questions yet, I actually have some questions for Parker. So Parker, what motivated you to apply to the Accelerate Blue Foundry? And what I guess what initially were you hoping to get out of the program? What was your interest in the program initially?
Oh, thanks, John. Um, so prior to AB Foundry, I had been trying to buy a business. I had been an executive at a fast-growing manufacturing firm and was looking to go out on my own. And I kept getting outbid time and time again. And so got introduced to the Foundry. Timing was perfect. And not just the timing, but there were a couple of really interesting technologies to me that aligned with what I had been trying to do in buying a business, as well as some of my past experiences in manufacturing.
Great, thank you. We have some additional questions coming in. One is, do I have to apply as myself, or can I apply on behalf of a group or company? Would I have to work on this as moonlighting, so to speak? So I guess I would ask clarification. What does that mean to apply on behalf of a company? As far as moonlighting, so to speak. So we understand that applicants and those entering the Foundry will likely have other obligations, and starting a company may be a fractional role at the beginning, but will eventually, of course, grow into something full time. And so we are looking for those who are available or willing to make that transition. If the startup and company gets traction, we do want somebody to be able to extend their role and to expand their presence there as well. I'm not sure if I answered that question, so if is a follow-up to that, please let me know. Another question for Parker. Uh, Parker, what was your experience and takeaway from the Accelerate Blue Foundry?
The experience is great. I really loved the mentorship aspect of it, having um, a weekly check-in with the mentor, and he gave me just invaluable advice at kind of each step, how to tackle things. Step one was really like figuring out, do people want to buy this? And helping craft a cold outreach, whether it was phone call or an email, and um, then going from there through kind of each of the steps you outlined on that chart.
Great. Um, Mark Hilton has his hand raised. I'm going to go ahead, Mark, and unmute and ask your question.
Hey, John, thanks so much for the webinar today and the information. One of the biggest things that we have found is that team is so important and team synergy is so important. With this matching of the inventor process, like, what does that look like if upon first initial introduction, if the match isn't good, can you go to maybe their second or third technologies? Because we've worked with some professors before where the match just wasn't super great, and we've worked with some that have the match was been fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, one way to sort of view what's maybe going on in the Foundry is it is sort of a dating phase with the team that you're meeting and with the team that you are hoping to start something with. And so, ultimately, if you join together and you want to start a company, that's great. But part of the thing that you want to get out of the Foundry is an understanding on is this the right team? Is this the right match? And we want you to work at that for a fair amount of time, throughout the Foundry, and past the Foundry, if it doesn't work and there's another team or another technology that you're interested in working with, then that's of course always a possibility. Um, a question for Parker. When you entered the executive MBA program, were you planning to pivot? Was entrepreneurship always the goal?
No, actually, we went into the executive MBA, really focused on expanding my kind of abilities, and for me, that was areas I didn't have exposure to, marketing and things like that. It just so happened at the end, um, got exposed to search funds, and that whole kind of realm of entrepreneurship, and went down that route, and then eventually to the Foundry.
Great, thank you. Question here. While no promise of equity until a company is formed, don't entrepreneurs and inventors normally agree that if something happens, this would be the equity? Yes. Right. So that's a very important point. Having an equity agreement in place before company formation, before pitch day in this case, is going to be something that teams are going to really want to work towards. So right, no equity is formed unless a company is started, but you do want to have that agreement in place. Mark has another question. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, do you have like a standard licensing agreement that you work across the board, or is it a technology by technology case?
I am going to hand that over to one of the licensing team members that we have here, Keith. And if you can address or speak to that.
Yeah, thanks. Relative, Mark, we have basically two types of agreement. We have a software agreement and then we have a patent and software agreement. And then the terms are, the typical Michigan gets an equity, there's a royalty, patent expense has to be paid back. But it's a very lucrative agreements, if you will, where we focus on ensuring that the startup company retains their cash flow. Okay, so we're really concerned as they try to hit various milestones and move forward that their cash flows is consistent. So again, we have separate agreements between the which are kind of segmented between software and then patenting. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Great. Uh, Question for Parker. Parker, how did you support yourself while you supported the General Orbit company while in the program and after? All I'm curious how this balance works with people who have other side hustles or part full-time jobs.
So the cool thing about the Foundry is, it kind of started with a pretty small time commitment, and grew over time. So able to um, do other things on the side, especially at the beginning stages, and then um, it was probably over, let's say, July of this year, where it really became kind of a full-time focus for me.
Great. Another question. How can we better determine the maturity of each invention? Interested to know the distance resources required to bring these to market. That's a great question. So we have tried to include a lot of information to that point in each of the technology abstracts that are available through the Accelerate Blue Foundry website. So we have things like TRL, we have things like market assessment that we've done, and hopefully that's going to be able to give everyone an idea on the maturity of each of the inventions that we're offering. Um, one more. Does your organization work with technologies being developed by outside R&D groups? For example, military, government-funded research organizations. If you can, please describe the process. So, within the Accelerate Blue Foundry, we are focused only on innovation that is coming from the University of Michigan. So that is a focus. It's not a program where we want to allow others to bring their own inventions to it. This is something that we're using to develop University of Michigan inventions. Okay. No other questions in the Q&A. Um, if you do think of any questions, after the meeting, please feel free to email us at accelerate.bluefoundry@umich.edu. We're happy to answer your questions through that if that's possible. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you all again for your time and spending a little bit of your time this afternoon with us. If you do have any additional questions, please feel free to email us, and we will definitely answer your question and get back to you. Um, Other than that, thank you again, and I will hopefully see some applications come in from those who attended this webinar.
So, is it okay for other people to have other jobs and work on this program at the same time? And if things come to fruitful, happy endings, then further discussions about how that will work. Is that something that's appropriate?
Yes, that's right. So, the vast majority are probably going to have uh, other obligations while they're starting work on the Foundry, but we want to be able to express our expectation that, if your startup takes off, if you get traction, you'll be able to be there to support the startup as it grows.
Got it. Okay. I know one of the questions on the actual program, can fractional executives and consultants apply? There is just some confusion. I think that kind of actually remedies my questions around that. Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thanks all. Have a great week.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Again, any other questions, please just send us an email. Have a great afternoon.